Slouched posture and rounded shoulders get a lot of press. But what if your back looks like this, where the spinal curve appears flatter? And I would argue that this posture is actually a lot more common than you think. But rarely do people talk about solutions for improving flat back posture. That changes today. In this video, we're going to talk about what flat back posture is, why it happens, how you can test for it, and most importantly, what you can do to improve dynamics in this area so your posture improves. Your flat back isn't because of some problem with your spine that you need to stretch out. It is an airflow problem that impacts the rib cage. Normally, as we breathe in and breathe out, the rib cage should expand in all directions during the inhalation and get smaller or compress in all directions during the exhalation. That's not just the front of the rib cage, the pump handle, or the sides of the rib cage, the bucket handle, but also the backside or posterior aspect of the rib cage. This posterior and superior movement of the rib cage, called posterior expansion or dorsal rostral expansion, also must happen in the ribs. Well, what if you can't do that? Well, if I have limited excursion in this backward and upward movement, my upper back might appear more flat, and that's because of increased muscle activity in the backside of the rib cage. Namely, this increased muscle activity alters the shape of the rib cage so the backside appears flatter. This is the reason why you might have a flat back. Now think about what this does to the shoulder blade. Well, if my back appears flatter, there might be increased appearance of space between the inner border of the shoulder blade and the rib cage. It might look like this. So if you ever see someone who has scapular winging, it might not be that the scapula or shoulder blade is winging in the air as you lift your arm overhead. It could be that there's reductions of airflow and the ability to breathe into the upper back, and that changes the relative position between the upper back and the shoulder blade. This is going to be more of the thing needed to fix that issue. But how do you know if this is you and it's something you need to address? I just talked about the upper back's relationship to the shoulder blade. So if I can't create a posteriorly expanded shape in the rib cage, it's going to influence the position of the shoulder blade, which will influence the position of the glenohumeral or shoulder joint. So we can actually look at shoulder mobility as a measure to let us know whether or not we have this flat back presentation. There's two things you want to look at: shoulder external rotation and shoulder internal rotation. There's two different presentations that you can have that might indicate you need upper back expansion. Normal ranges are 90 degrees of external and about 70 to 90 degrees of internal rotation. If the total arc of rotation, the combination of external and internal, is less than 160 degrees, then your odds of having this increase. We can get more precise with that though. If you have a significant amount of external rotation, we're talking 100, 120 degrees, and your internal rotation is sorely limited, that would indicate a flat upper back presentation. The reason why that happens is because the thorax tips backwards, giving the appearance of the flat back. So to know if your exercises are working, you would look to improve internal rotation. The other way to determine this is if you have a narrower rib cage or a narrow infrasternal angle, which is something less than 90 degrees. If you're unsure, take a full exhale and see how much the lower ribs close. But if that's you, and you have a slight loss of external rotation and internal rotation is also limited, then you would also be prime candidate for going after upper back or posterior expansion, and that can influence your flat back presentation. The key with our exercise selection is we want to do things that expand the posterior rib cage. The big keys with this is making sure that you choose positions that will encourage air to go in the upper back, but, and this is critical, you can't force it. The inhales have to be very chill and lax. Because if you force air into the upper back, most people will end up just rounding their back this way. That doesn't get the segmental expansion that we oh so desire when it comes to this. The inhale has to be quiet and soft in through the nose, like so. Did you hear it? Exactly. That's how I want your inhales to be. The exhales are long, slow, and drawn out, like this. Again, neither inhale nor exhale should be forced. The way that we'll encourage air into the upper back is by our exercise selection. Now the first move that you're gonna do when improving upper back mobility is the side-lying foam roller rotation. What this does is it's going to use the foam roller to compress or squeeze the sides of the rib cage. That's going to create some expansion front to back, and then the rotation is going to drive just a little bit of upper back expansion. Here's how to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to have a foam roller resting just underneath your armpit, but you're going to have your rib cage lean into the foam roller like this. You can see that as I do this, my ab wall kind of comes up off the ground. You don't want to be sagged like so. Get some weight on the foam roller. Knees are going to be roughly parallel, maybe a little less than that, to the foam roller, and they'll be stacked atop one another. Your top hand is going to be resting across your chest. Make sure you keep a straight line from your nose to your chest, to your tummy, to your zipper. You want to rotate all of those pieces as one unit. From here, you're going to inhale, roll that line backwards, exhale, through the mouth, roll it forwards. Make sure as you're doing it that you don't lose the line. A lot of people will roll their upper back and they'll keep the pelvis pointing forward. Another issue that I oftentimes see is when people roll forward, they'll end up looking down like this. Both of those break the line. You want to do 3 sets of 10 rolls each side 2 times a day for about 2 to 4 weeks. You can then progress to the side-lying same connect roll, which drives even more rotation, and because you're using a yoga block, you can bias even more posterior expansion. What you're going to do is you're going to lie on your side. You want your top elbow and knee to be holding a yoga block like so. When you get in position, make sure that you're not just bringing the knee way up. You want the elbow to be bent, and you're actually kind of reaching a little bit down like this. So you'll notice my arm angle is quite a bit less than 90 degrees. It's at about 60 or so. My free hand is going to grip the opposite rib cage. I'm looking straight ahead. Same thing, nose, chest, zipper, all roll in a straight line. I'm going to get a little bit of pressure into the yoga block. That's going to engage my abs. Silent in through the nose, roll to your back, exhale, roll forward. Inhale, roll to your back, exhale, roll forward. Make sure as you do this that when you roll back, you're not leading with the arm and the leg like this. You want really everything to stay in a straight line. You can progress it by changing the dimensions of the yoga block. If you are starting with the longest side of the yoga block, you then want to progress to the smaller side, but make sure that it's done so through the arm and not through the leg. To up the difficulty even further, you can progress this to a cross-connect roll. This time, instead of having the same side, leg and arm touching the block, you're going to go opposites. You'll want to start on your back this time. Yoga block's going to between opposite elbow and knee. Make sure the elbow's bent. Again, you're reaching down. You're not bringing the leg up. You're going to do the same straight line from your nose to your zipper. A little pressure into the block. Free arm grabs the rib cage. Silent in through the nose. You're going to roll towards the arm. Exhale, roll back. Again, keeping everything in a straight line. Perform 3 sets of 10 rolls per side 2 times per day for 2 to 4 weeks. Using the same progression. Try to make the yoga block smaller, but make sure you're reaching the arm to get it, not bringing the leg up. And the roll to end all rolls is the Cicinelli turtle roll. This is by far the most difficult, but if you can nail it, I guarantee you're going to have way better upper back mobility than you did before. You're going to start on your back. You want your knees completely together, and then they're going to be lifted up. Yoga block is going to go between the knees. You want the elbows completely together as well, and hands touching. Your fingertips are going to be pressing gently onto your forehead. You want to get pressure into the yoga block so you'll feel your abs. A little pressure in the forehead. What you're going to do is you're going to inhale, roll backwards, You can kick the legs a little bit to get you a little momentum. Exhale, roll forwards. And the goal is to get all the way up. Most people screw that up by not generating enough pressure in the block. These will be the people who end up whipping the head and crunching, or they'll end up losing the block. If you are doing that, then you really got to make sure you're maintaining block pressure, or you skipped steps and you went right to that one. Remember, the goal of this is to be able to alter your rib cage's ability to change shape. That takes time and you can't force it. Your first goal is to be able to get up in the roll. Once you've done that, you want to do that about 5 to 10 times, 2 times per day. If it gets easy, you can then, like the other moves, change the block dimensions until your elbows and your knees are getting even closer together. And that's the progression that I use for someone who has a flat back representation to improve dynamics of the rib cage. Now, a lot of times people who have a flat upper back also have a significant anterior pelvic tilt. If that's you and you want to know how to address it, I would check out this video right here where I go into how to assess if that's even a thing you have, and most importantly, what to do about it.